When a narcissist is being exposed completely, this is what you will see. Have you ever encountered someone who seems to believe they are better than everyone else? Individuals with an inflated sense of self-importance, who boast about their achievements and demean others to elevate themselves, are often referred to as narcissists. Today, let's delve into the reasons behind this exaggerated sense of self and learn how we can compassionately guide these individuals toward a more balanced understanding of their place in the world. By the way, if you haven't yet, you might find my free course, Narcissism 101, Early Warning Signs, Escaping the Trap, and Rebuilding Your Life, helpful. The link can be found in the description box below, and it's absolutely free. Now let's be honest, we all have moments when we think highly of ourselves, and maybe we act a little self-centered. However, when I mention narcissists, I'm referring to those who place themselves on a pedestal much higher than everyone else. They seek adoration and special treatment, often disregarding the needs and emotions of those around them. Below their illusion of superiority, they conceal a heart weighed down by envy, fueling their insecurities and competitive spirit. Imagine a hypothetical reality in which achievements and success are not praised for their own worth, but are instead viewed as personal threats to the fragile ego of individuals with narcissistic tendencies. These perceived offenses, known as narcissistic wounds, can originate from anyone, whether they be acquaintances, coworkers, or even children. Living life in a state of perpetual competition, these individuals resort to belittling remarks and sly tactics to outdo their so-called adversaries and maintain their perceived status of superiority. Take, for example, someone who diminishes the professional accomplishments of Harrison Ford by simply labeling him as a failed carpenter. This kind of behavior often stems from narcissistic individuals who aim to boost their own self-perception while simultaneously discrediting the achievements of others. Throughout their everyday lives, individuals with narcissistic tendencies often exhibit similar patterns of behavior aimed at asserting their dominance over others. It is important to note that these actions are not one-off incidents, but rather recurring patterns of behavior that are indicative of a larger issue. So here's what you will see in narcissists when you expose them completely. First and foremost, narcissistic individuals perceive themselves as highly intelligent and proficient. They often believe that formal education or certifications are unnecessary, as they feel naturally equipped to handle any challenge. They may argue that 4 degrees are entirely sufficient, or that they possess equivalent knowledge to someone with specialized expertise. When engaging in conversation with someone lacking in-depth knowledge on a specific subject, all they need to do is fabricate information to garner admiration. However, as soon as they encounter a person with superior expertise, their demeanor shifts. Their initial confidence quickly turns into defensiveness, and their hostility intensifies when faced with the presence of an authoritative figure, such as a supervisor at work. These narcissistic individuals are likely to assert that they were misled, deceived, or portrayed as foolish, never considering that their own lack of understanding might be the underlying issue. Second, individuals with narcissistic tendencies frequently attempt to impress others with their linguistic skills. They may offer up a dense word, like precipitation, when commenting on external conditions, aiming to demonstrate their proficiency in vocabulary. These individuals often utilize word salad, consisting of eloquent-sounding phrases that may not hold much meaning. Words like precisely, literally, rationally, and nevertheless find common usage in their language. This pattern of speech could stem from employing jargon and technical terms that most individuals would not comprehend. This approach typically makes it challenging to provide useful feedback, since an individual cannot criticize something they can't understand. From time to time, individuals with narcissistic tendencies misuse or inaccurately employ words to seem more intelligent. They may then argue that the other person is too dim-witted to comprehend the fundamental concepts they are discussing. Thirdly, individuals with narcissistic characteristics display selectivity when it comes to choosing their social circle. They usually gravitate towards people possessing similar levels of intellect, wealth, or even fame. In a work environment, for instance, one may come across a coworker who restricts most of their interaction with higher-ranking colleagues. They see individuals at the same level as them as dull and not worth their time. These individuals may even take on the role of a superior, doling out work, asking for updates, and authorizing lunch breaks. They often dominate conversations, ignoring the opinions of those who they think lack competence or who don't deserve their attention. They may show amicability to individuals who are useful in advancing their interests, but discard them once they no longer serve a purpose. Fourthly, individuals displaying narcissistic tendencies often attain positions of power in various settings. They are quick to act when a situation arises, offering guidance and solutions, even where they lack expertise. They may provide guidance on significant decisions like residence or offer support in complicated social situations. They always exhibit confidence and self-assurance, and sometimes that is genuine. They delight in being the center of attention and exploiting their influence to manipulate others into fulfilling their desires. If their advice bears fruits, they will take credit for the successful outcome. However, if their ventures fail, they may avoid responsibility by disavowing involvement or blaming others for not following their directions. In extreme cases, they may even fabricate a crisis merely to solve it, which enhances their reputation as a problem solver. Fifthly, individuals with narcissistic tendencies often take on the role of mediators between two parties who have a disagreement. They gather information from both sides and offer a solution that appears better than the plans suggested by others in the conflict. They are skilled at detecting flaws and obstacles that others might overlook and are adept at resolving them. They may even rephrase suggestions from others and present them as their own, usually when those ideas seem to have potential. When working in a group setting, they have a tendency to dominate the conversation, seeking out problems or issues even if they are trivial. They might request minor adjustments or changes to feel acknowledged and validated. For example, in a past management role, we assigned each supervisor the responsibility of communicating policy and procedural changes to employees. We used email, scheduled meetings, and posted signs in the break room to disseminate the information. Despite receiving input and recommendations from everyone, one colleague struggled to offer anything persuasive. Ultimately, she suggested using blue drawing pins to attach the posters to the walls. Although this was a minor idea, it made her feel like she had made a valuable contribution to the discussion. Sixthly, individuals exhibiting narcissistic behavior might depend on personality tests or other evaluations to persuade others of their superior observational skills. For example, they might brag about receiving high scores on an online empathy test or receive validation from a counselor, indicating that their concerns are baseless. They might also assert having a high IQ, citing data from researchers or test results to support their claim. However, they tend to guard these test scores and not allow anyone else to see them. Sometimes they'll use these test results to showcase their outstanding personality traits and humanitarian acts. In contrast, in other cases, they'll utilize the numbers as proof that their partner or children are not impeding their success in life. Despite their supposed intellect and professed insightfulness, some individuals with narcissistic tendencies have a deficiency of self-awareness, making it difficult for them to perceive their flaws and limitations. Lastly, narcissistic individuals never admit to being wrong, as it can harm their fragile egos. To acknowledge defeat would show vulnerability, which they cannot tolerate. They typically gravitate towards individuals with low self-esteem or those who endorse inaccurate beliefs, as they can benefit from them in social circumstances. If met with criticism, they usually make dismissive gestures or condescendingly laugh, disregarding any truth or reasonable argument presented. Rather than addressing the opposing argument, they'll focus on attacking the person who presented it, engaging in personal insults to gain an advantage. To deflect from the issue, they might criticize the individual's appearance, age, or social status. Furthermore, grouping people together and making generalizations is a tendency among narcissistic individuals, providing them with a sense of superiority over others. They don't typically care about the accuracy of their claims, but rather desire to dominate the conversation. Your reputation will inevitably face certain challenges. People with pathological narcissism may invalidate their opponent's arguments through dishonest tactics instead of presenting their own ideas. They may go so far as to alter their account of conversations, distort or confuse details, or even become aggressive if the situation demands it. Narcissists resort to any means possible to avoid taking responsibility or appearing foolish. They might even host a pity party of sorts, convincing themselves that they walked away from fame and fortune for more honorable pursuits. Unfortunately, pathological narcissism tends to worsen over time, since narcissists don't accept that other people's opinions might be valid, or that new information may require a change in thinking. Such individuals would not dare to admit fault, since that would be catastrophic for their already fragile self-esteem. Therefore, they have to continue using their regular tactics of dishonesty and exploitation to maintain their perception of superiority. However, these strategies often backfire on them, inducing feelings of desperation and foolishness among others. Please feel free to share your views on this subject in the comments section, and do subscribe to the channel if you found this conversation insightful and want to learn more about mental health in the future. Until we meet again, have a great day.
So, everyone, have you ever had to deal with someone who thinks they are the best thing since sliced bread? You know, those individuals who always brag about their achievement, put others down, and demand special treatment. If you have, chances are you might have encountered a narcissist. These individuals suffer from a personality disorder that makes them believe they are superior to other people, regardless of evidence to the contrary. So, what makes narcissists tick? Well, as we've just learned, narcissism is rooted in insecurity and envy. Narcissistic individuals are constantly comparing themselves to others and seeking validation from external sources, as their internal sense of self-worth is fragile and easily shattered. They often pursue success and wealth not for their own sake, but to prove to themselves and others that they are better than anyone else. However, any perceived threat to their ego, such as criticism, rejection, failure, or even success in someone else, can trigger what's known as narcissistic wound. This is when a narcissist feels insulted, humiliated, or threatened and respond with outrage, aggression, or withdrawal. They might lash out, dismiss, or insult the person who caused the offense, or retreat into a fantasy world where their superiority is unchallenged. So, how can we spot a narcissist when exposed completely? Well, let's go over the science we just covered. Narcissists tend to believe they are smarter and more skilled than everyone else, often without any evidence to support this claim. They might use big words, technical jargon, or nonsensical phrases to impress others, even if they don't understand what they are saying themselves. Narcissists also tend to be selective in their social circle, preferring people who can boost their status or reflect their ideal self-image. They might dominate conversations, ignore feedback, or criticize others to maintain their sense of superiority. They also tend to gravitate towards positions of power where they can control others and take credit for their accomplishments, while blaming them for any failures or mistakes. Narcissists are also adept at manipulating others through their charm, flattery, or persuasive skills. They might mediate conflicts, over-advise, or present themselves as experts even when they lack the necessary knowledge or experience. They might also use personality tests or evaluation to validate their self-perceived strengths or weaknesses, or to invalidate others' perspectives or feelings. Lastly, narcissists tend to be resistant to change, especially if it means admitting fault or weakness. They might deny evidence, gaslight others, or use ad hominem attacks to deflect criticism or avoid responsibility. They might also play the victim or the hero depending on what suits their agenda best. All these behaviors are typical of narcissistic individuals and can make them challenging to deal with, especially if they refuse to seek help or acknowledge their flaws. However, as I mentioned earlier, there is a way to compassionately guide narcissistic individuals toward a more balanced understanding of themselves and the world. It requires patience, empathy, and professional support such as therapy, counseling, or coaching. It also involves setting boundaries, communicating clearly, and holding them accountable for their actions. It's not easy, yes, but it's possible. And who knows, maybe with the right intervention, a narcissist can learn to appreciate other people's strengths, admit their limitations, and live a more fulfilling life. We can only hope. Well, I think that's all for today's video. I hope you found this conversation helpful and relatable, and if you did, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to this channel for more mental health tips and discussions in the future. Remember, we are all in this together and we can make a difference, one conversation at a time. Thanks for watching and take care.